Hi, I'm Jessie. This week I will be doing an article summary on I'm Demi and I have bipolar disorder, effective parasocial contact on reducing stigma toward people with bipolar disorder. This article was written by Norman Wong, Catherine Lookadoo, and Gwendolyn Nisbet. This is the third digital platform assignment for communication fluency at Queen's University of Charlotte. Just as a recap, the purpose of this study was to see if negative stereotypes toward bipolar disorder could be reduced as a function of mode of disease disclosure from a celebrity, Demi Lovato, diagnosed with the condition. And what this means is if exposure to a disease or disorder could be reduced in terms of stigma and stereotypes just by simple exposure from a media figure. So the article begins with talking about celebrity health disclosures when they had happened and what happened from the people who absorbed those messages and if they acted on it. And what they found was that increased media coverage of a disease resulted in increased information seeking from the people who absorbed it. So more Google searches and more hits online of people trying to find out more information, which in turn resulted in higher testing rates for the disease too, and preventative methods of the people who received those messages acting on what they seen and were exposed to. And so communication researchers thought that this called for more research on parasocial relationships and health disclosures and how they work together with each other to see if they could be used in a way to reduce stigma, which is the purpose of this article and this research project and why it came about. So next is the role of PSI and PSR in stigma reduction. PSI is parasocial interactions and PSR is parasocial relationships. And so what they found was that parasocial interactions lead to parasocial relationships. So interactions with a user or media figure that are one-sided and are given to the user from the media figure themselves can lead to a relationship that extends outside of media. And when that happens, positive interactions are necessary to yield any change or any reduction in stigma. So the role of narrative transportation in stigma reduction. Narrative transportation is the process of temporarily leaving one's reality to enter another or enter into a narrative that is being given to them. And so what they found in this research was that narrative presented by media figures can actually influence users' perceptions, and they are less likely to argue messages that they receive due to the way that they absorbed it. So if they receive a message from a media figure that they are, that is likable, or somebody that is maybe they are a fan of, then they are less likely to argue the message that they received because of the way that they absorbed it. The method of study in this article, they used 594 undergraduate students, and 212 of those are male, 382 are female, ranging from ages 18 to 42. So they did a pre-test to tests for social distance, and what I mean by social distance is basically how inclined they were to interact with someone with bipolar disorder before being exposed. And seeing whether there was a sense of social distance there from just the stereotypes that they knew about bipolar disorder. And so then all of the participants were subjected to one of Demi Lovato's messages, whether it be an interview or a PSA or things like that. They were chosen randomly. They were subjected to this message, and then they were given a post-test that measured their social distance afterwards, seeing if they had more of an incline to interact with someone with bipolar disorder. So the measures taken were parasocial relationship, of course, with Demi, parasocial interactions with Demi, and the method here was by video. Transportation, which is the emotional experience when hearing Demi Lovato's messages, whether it be causing a reaction, whether it made them cry or made them feel, more connected to her. So that was the transportation of the narrative. Experience with the mental illness was whether they had any prior experience with a family or friend before taking the test. mental illness stereotypes, which were what they had heard or what they might think about the illness before being exposed to it. Social distance, how comfortable they were with interaction, like we discussed earlier, and source familiarity, which is with Demi Lovato itself, whether or not they were familiar with her to begin with. The hypothesis given, there were two, and the first being that the level of PSI with a celebrity is negatively related to the level of desired social distance from people with bipolar disorder. And then the second hypothesis was level of PSI with a celebrity with bipolar disorder is negatively related to perceived negative stereotypes. So what that basically means is that having a better relationship with a celebrity is going to reduce the amount of stigma, which is what they were thinking and hoping for by doing this study. And the results actually showed that social distance and negative stereotypes were in fact reduced significantly following the exposure to Demi Lovato's disclosure about the disease. And these are my references. Thank you for watching.
Hi, I'm Jessie. This week I will be doing an article summary on I'm